It's time to get creative as hell.
Get strong.
Hey everybody, hi, how are you? All right, welcome to Creative as Hale. I'm your host, Amy Hale, here with my fabulous husband and co-host, John Hale. Tonight, we are thrilled to have I'm not going to be able to talk here. We are thrilled. And now I'm messing it all up, guys. It's one of those days. And of course, don't you know it, my phone is ringing. Okay, let's start that again. With my husband, we're thrilled to have author and broadcaster Ted Davies with us. But before we jump in, we need to take care of our usual business first. So let's start with our Patreon supporters. Let's see. Thanks to our Patreon supporters. Yeah, I know it's hard for me to keep up here. It's like a circus back here, guys. Okay, so a big thanks to our wonderful supporters on Patreon. With their help, we have been able to purchase. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's all messed up right now for some reason. Sorry, guys. We got all kinds of weird stuff happening back here. We've been able to purchase some new equipment for the show, and with your continued support, we will work hard to bring you the best show, books, and other entertainment we can. Little hint, if you are currently a patron, you can go check out my latest post and get a sneak peek of my upcoming book, Neurosis. You can support for as little as $1, so if this is something you're interested in, please check us out at the address at the bottom of the graphic. You can also find the link in the show notes. The show notes are below if you're watching on YouTube, or above if you're watching on Facebook. Okay, so now that we've done that bit of business, gotta move some stuff around and find the next one because we're losing our minds tonight. All right, we are very proud that Creative as Hale is part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Our fantastic group of shows are listed on the graphic. Take a screenshot or check out the Rising Tide link in the show notes for more information. If you're looking for great entertainment and education, you'll find it in the Rising Tide. And an upcoming reminder about, let's see, events. Ooh. So, yeah.
Finally!
I know, events. It's just like, feels like a miracle at this point. Jai will be at Big River Comic-Con on April 23rd and 24th in Hannibal, Missouri. Exciting little tidbit about that. The Wednesday before, we will not have Creative as Hale on the regular day on Thursday on the 22nd. Instead, we will have it on the 21st, and we will be talking with Big River Comic-Con organizer Deb Logue. So please join us for that special edition so we can talk about the event. John and I will also be at Riders on the River in Peoria, Illinois on July 17th. And as other events draw near, we will continue to share those with you. We hope that you'll come to these events following the current safety mandates and stop by our table and say hello. We hope you liked tonight's show. If you would be so kind to like the page you're watching on or give it a follow, we'd be ever so grateful. And if you're with us on YouTube, please consider subscribing to our channel and ring that bell so you don't miss a thing. Now, without further ado, maybe we'll get here. Let's welcome.
No wardrobe malfunctions, though.
No, we're good there.
Just technical.
It could be worse, right?
Yes, it would be if my wardrobe had a problem.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's welcome our friend Ted Davies.
Hey, Ted.
How you guys doing?
Unbelievable now.
That's good.
I could have a wardrobe malfunction real quick if you want me to, but
No,
Okay.
we're,
might ruin the
we're probably
ratings, but we'll
good.
try.
Gosh,
We'll try. Thanks for having me on, guys.
breaking.
I appreciate it.
Oh, we are so glad that you joined us tonight, Ted.
It's my pleasure. My
We know we're
privilege,
gonna have
actually.
a lot
So
of fun.
Yeah,
it's nice being interviewed versus,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of a nice change, isn't it?
it is. You can breathe a little bit.
Yeah, the pressure's not quite the same.
right. Not you don't have to worry about the comments too much or whatever, and just kind
Yeah.
of just relax and
Absolutely.
field the questions.
Oh,
Kick
yeah.
back and enjoy it.
So
Cool.
let's see. We got people showing up already from Carl. Hello
Hey, Carl, what's up?
there. And Carlene.
Donna.
Carlene, hello. Jeff Hayes. Good evening, guys.
Yeah.
Real Ted, don't let up. He deserves it.
That's right, Jeffrey.
Of course, John is being so helpful.
I really was trying.
He's trying. We were gonna try to transfer this over where he was doing it, but he's not done this part of it yet. And then everything kept popping and moving.
It's all good.
Like, what is happening?
It's like
Even I'm confused, and I was starting to get it down.
felt like Jeff in Rules of Engagement. I'm in
No
a
doubt.
tornado. There's stuff coming all over the screen,
It's
and
popping everywhere.
her mouse is backwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have one of the.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
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 So it's
Yeah, you
it runs.
scroll the wrong way.
So he's like, "Where is everything?"
That's
Now I know why the toilet paper.
That's the
comes
beauty
off.
of it, though. It's the beauty of it all. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, at least we're having fun, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Permisson shared. Thank you, Ryan. And Ryan, I got your email today. I will be emailing you back soon, I promise. Boy, Ryan's already starting in with the questions.
Yep.
He asked this one when I was on Russell. Okay, brain.
And Russell
Yes.
Allen.
Yes, thank you,
Mhm.
Russell Allen. I
Yep.
don't know what I am having like serious brain
It's
fog
no
today.
problem.
Russell Allen, he asked this question, and I could not answer it.
Mhm.
I could
5
not
books.
answer this question. 5 books that everyone should have on their bookshelf.
Do you want me to answer that, or do you want to
Sure,
go?
Sure.
go for
Okay,
it.
well,
Yeah.
I'm in my library, so let's see what I got. I collect antiquated books. Everybody that knows me knows I'm into books. So, first book, the very, very first book that you should be reading is before the Bible or anything, whatever you are spiritually, whatever. Josephus Flavius's historic,
We have that one.
not novel, but his history.
Yes, we
Josephus.
have that one. Yeah.
And he is, it's cool to see the historical side of things versus the spiritual side of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of the first ones. I've got one of the original books of that, and
Cool.
it is priceless. The Vicar of Wakefield. It's by Goldsmith. It's an old book, but it's a terrific book. Got a couple different ones. I have a ton of comic books. I mean, a ton. You should actually read, and the other 3 are my series Retrieve. You have to read that, and my series Grim 101 that's coming out soon, and my series ALBINO ZULU. Those are the other 3.
I'll say
Sorry,
that's
self-plug.
That's what I said on Russell's show. I was like, well, okay, so whatever your religion is, you should have that book.
Yeah, right.
Whatever makes you happy. And then I've got 11 you can choose from.
Right. There you go.
So you can fill in the blanks after
Start
that.
your library. Right. We're always promoting, right?
You gotta be. Let's see. Favorite movies or TV series?
Well, Star Wars, the original, 19. I was a kid. I was 6 years old when it came out, and you'd see everything behind me. I got my Millennium Falcon lit up, and all my original R2D2s from the 70s. And I mean, yeah, that's, and 007, any of that movie series. I'm a big fan of 007.
Oh, yeah.
TV series, I'll tell you one of the ones that my wife and I watch a lot of is Magnum PI. We're a big, for whatever reason, I know it is what reason is for her. I'm more about the car, but whatever. But that's, because it's a bonding thing for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of other shows, but
The original.
and Magnum, yeah.
Nothing
It's
new.
all Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
That's, and I did wear shorts like that back in the 80s, so I don't want to hear about it. So
Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
coming back
I-
anytime
I-
soon. So
I
sorry.
just I couldn't do what he does for a Ferrari. I mean,
they're if they're not driven, they're not they're not worth it. You know,
Yeah.
I had a friend that bought one. I had a friend that bought one and just it just sat and it was ruined.
Oh,
It's just terrible. And the maintenance on it. Oh my God, the insurance.
wow.
You can't even
Yeah.
insure them. So
Oh,
I'd rather just watch them on. Okay, that's cool. I'll buy the model and put it up on the
there you
shelf.
go.
You know, call it a day. But
Yeah.
how about you? What about favorite movies and TVs series?
Would you go ahead?
Oh, movies probably going to be Deadwood.
Okay, that's good.
I really like that one.
Yeah.
TV. Wow, I really miss Candid Camera.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And but probably series wise of it would be up there. I'm probably on a field with Magnum.
Yeah.
Simon and Simon.
Oh yeah.
You know, and Rockford.
Yeah, Rockford Files. I was going to say Rockford Files.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Those three right there they're
I mean,
all just.
We liked MASH and stuff growing up, but it's like, you know, it was so long. It was such a long, drawn out show that when it was over, it was crushing, you know, for a lot of people. But anyway, how about you? Sorry, Amy.
Let's see. Movies is tough because my favorites change depending on what mood I'm in.
Okay.
But let's see. Movies. Currently, probably. This is really gonna.
True Colors.
I really like the movie After, which is based off of a romance novel from Anna Todd.
That's cool.
It is. It's about young love, obviously, but it's definitely not to watch when you have children in the room. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I love the story. And so they did a nice adaptation, and they've actually made a second one now. So
good deal.
Let's see. TV shows, there's a lot, but mostly my top three favorites, which anybody that knows me probably knows, is Supernatural, Doctor Who, and The Office. Those are my three. My three. As far as American, now I love all things British.
Yeah, me too.
Doctor Who is British.
Yep.
So I love Monty Python, Faulty Towers,
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean, yes. Goodness.
Keeping Up Appearances.
Watching the entire series of The Vicar of Dibley.
Oh yeah, she's hilarious, hysterical.
She's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? It was Keeping Up Appearances, right? Is that the name of the one?
Yes, Keeping Up Appearances was another. Yes.
It's great.
So yeah, I really love all of those.
Yeah.
And oh, now it made me think of a favorite movie too. This is universally a favorite for me. Is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, that's great. I know.
Adaptation.
One of my favorite directors is Wes Anderson. So like the Budapest Hotel, if you have not seen that, it's hysterical. The Life Aquatic, anything like that, they're freaking hysterical. But you have to be in the right state of mind. But the Budapest Hotel, I think, regardless of series, that is one of the funniest movies. It's hysterical.
We'll have to check that one out.
You have to check it out. I'm telling you, you'll be like, you'll call me. That's how much you're going to like it. You're going to say it's freaking hysterical. Okay.
I'll have to definitely check that out.
It's all good.
Okay. So Jackie says, hey, Amy and John. Hey, Jackie. Jessica Johnson. Hi, Amy and John.
Hey,
Jackie
Jess.
can't stay, but wanted to say hi. I'm glad you did. We're thinking of you. I hope you're doing well. Jackie's mother just passed away. So
that's a shame. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. You still wear your Magnum PI shirts?
Yeah, I do. Heck yeah, man. All the time. I'm gonna crack out those shorts just for grins and giggles now, man.
Yeah.
You better watch out. TED Talks is gonna be in live in Magnum shorts, man. Wait.
In living color.
That's right.
Across this interviewer, Ted has turned the tables on them.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Let's see. Carlene was just wondering who was interviewing whom. Wow,
sorry.
No, it's fine.
It is a conversation going on here.
It goes back and forth. That's right.
Absolutely.
Michaela Jade, hello all. I'm headed to bed. Okay.
What? At 7 o'clock?
No, she's working hard right now.
Yeah, she's doing her landscape.
Physically working hard too. So
So yeah, have a good night, Michaela. Hope you sleep well. Let's see. Jessica said, hopefully we'll be able to make it up to BRCC to see everyone. Oh, I hope so. I hope
yeah.
so. We'd
It's been
love
a
to see
long
you guys.
time.
Yeah. We saw them. Were you guys at Cape Con, Jessica? I don't think we got to see you guys at Cape Con even. I don't remember. I don't remember if we saw you or not. Did we?
They're right at the front door.
It's like I can't even remember anymore. Feels like it's been forever since
Sure.
we've been anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so ask Ted what his least favorite watch is. I'm gonna
After today,
I got in on the tail end of that
Oh,
one.
man.
I'm gonna assume it's the one that you just did a show about.
the one I'm packaging up for my son, it's right here in front of me. I'm not even going to show it to you. You can watch the video.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Terrible.
Do that. Yes, we were at Cape Con. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting my shows all mixed up now because it's been so long.
How long's it been for you guys on a show?
Well,
a year?
Let's see. Cape Con was what, our last one? No, we did non-con.
We done non-con.
So that was in October, but that was a little bit different kind of show.
Yeah.
Cape Con was in April of last year,
Mhm.
I believe it was.
Yeah, we haven't been a show since February last year.
Yeah,
And,
we did a February show. We did a book signing in a winery.
Yep.
And then we had Cape Con, and then I think that was it until October when they did non-con. But yeah, it's a little like all jumbled now.
Yeah.
Where before I could keep it
what
straight.
day is it again? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I only know it's Thursday because we're doing a show.
Right.
My phone dings and goes, "Hey, dummy! Today you got stuff you have to do."
15 minutes too. Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe you should comb your hair. Who is Ted's favorite mixologist?
She's a short redhead. You guys might not know her. I don't know. She lives in Michigan. She's a cute little thing.
Yeah, I agree. She's pretty cute.
Yeah, Christine Davies. Yep. If she's watching, she's probably watching. So sorry, embarrass
Cape Con was
you.
in July. Okay, see, I don't even know what month anymore.
I thought everything was shut down by then.
Well, they changed it up. They moved it to July because things were looking a little better now that I think about it. And then, of course, everything went back downhill.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
we never know what's happening from one day to the next.
Yeah.
We need to let him tell who he is.
Oh, that's cool.
Watching.
No problem.
We should probably let Ted introduce himself. But we'll start with our first question we always ask.
Sure.
Tell us about you. Give us some background about Ted Davies.
I was born in Detroit. I was youngest of five, or I'm the youngest of five kids. I have my family were one of the founding families in Detroit with Cadillac, my ancestors. So 1701, when he came over here, he brought a bunch of Trottiers with him, and that was my mother's family. And yeah, so it's kind of cool. So we've been in Detroit forever. And my dad was a Welshman. He was from Wales, and my mom was from rural Indiana. So they had a yin and a yang, completely different sides of the scope. And yeah, I mean, it was cool. I went to school to be an architect. My background's in architecture. So I spent the last 28 years building everything from building to painting, you name it. It's been part of the things changed. Designing homes was fine for the first, say, 15 years, and then the market imploded. So then it was balancing act. You guys know about pivoting and everything. You guys know how it goes. Yeah. I've got two beautiful kids, Ashley and Aaron. They're in their mid 20s now. I'm turning 50 in April here. A couple weeks. I'm celebrating. Christine and I are celebrating our 20th anniversary. Tuesday, 13th.
Congrats!
So,
That's 20 years is a long time.
Yeah, it's a sentence for that poor woman. But yeah, she dealt with me and she hasn't poisoned me yet. So, yeah, I mean it's been good. I've had a really good career in architecture, and I've always been a storyteller, always been a writer. And I think that if I would have, my mom was one that always talked about, they knew I was going to be an artist. My dad was an artist. He worked with Soupy Sales. I don't know if you know Soupy Sales, but he was a comedian back in the 50s. Oh, wow. My dad was his photographer and his graphic artist.
That's cool.
After that show got canceled, he ended up working at Ford. They brought him in part of all of the different industrial arts. So the Mustang, all the different cars that came out. It was cool growing up in that environment because I knew it was coming out 5 years before, and it was such a cool thing growing up with my dad having that type of, and being in Detroit, so all of our neighbors, everybody worked at Ford or GM or whatever, so we always would have cars. And yeah, that's kind of how I got into car culture, motorcycles, and all that stuff, and just
Cool.
being
So
part of
cool.
that whole dynamic.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, then I got started into comic books early on. I was in Detroit. I was pretty much for lack of a better word, a minority, which was fine. It was an interesting way to look at life. Just a kid. I went to Catholic school and everything was kind of sheltered. But then when we moved up to the suburbs, I really didn't know what bad was until we moved out to the suburbs. Then I got to see, kids are 12 years old partying. And I'm like, this is not, yeah, okay, I got my bike stolen and yeah, house got broken into, but this is kind of nuts,
Yeah.
But it made me look at life a lot differently growing up. So, and I think my brothers and my sister might argue that I'm not quite that mature, but I think it matured me a little bit growing up. But yeah, I mean, it's been a really, really good life. We live on a Great Lake. We moved out of Detroit a few years ago. Chris and I downsized. Once the kids went to college and everything, we figured, okay, well, what do we want to do? Can we do it? Can we move up north? And that was it. We moved up, the sunrise side of Detroit, of Michigan, and it's literally, I mean, it's 30 feet outdoors, a Great Lake, and it's
Awesome.
it's just sick. It's right now it's really sick because COVID has spiked big time here. And it's been really bad here. We had we just went in for testing actually because we were exposed again, and it was pretty bad. Came back negative, thank God. But
Thank goodness.
we're trying to get our shots now, so it's been just we've been locked down forever. So it's been but we're trying, and but everything's good. I mean, business has been fantastic.
That's awesome.
Art's been just exploding. One thing that came out of this whole thing is the broadcasting side of it. I wouldn't have done this, a year ago, 2 years ago. I wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
And now it's been such a godsend. And I've met some great people. So, including you guys. So, but yeah, it's been, that's me in a nutshell. So right now.
Yeah. You were mentioning, this just came to mind when you mentioned the 12-year-old party.
Yeah.
We lived in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just moved to this little bitty town, like 500 people.
No stoplights.
Yeah. And we lived at the end of this little street, and this little boy came into our yard and was like, my son was 4 or 5 years old. This kid was about 5. And he wanted to play with our son. And was like, oh, well, that's nice. Matt's going to have friends to play with. Well, then I saw the kid spit tobacco. And I went, oh, I don't know if I want Matt playing with this kid.
What are you supposed to do? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, I just was like, I hope he just stole that and his parents don't actually give that to him. But that was an interesting little town we lived in. Let me tell you, I think everyone was related to each other. It was nuts. It was really nuts. And by the time we moved out, I told him, I said, we've got to move before this town rubs off on us. It was a little scary. Yeah, it was nuts.
Come out one morning to go to church and somebody was sleeping in our car.
Is that me or you? Sorry.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyway, we're back. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, back.
I just upgraded to like super high speed internet, so I hope it's not because somebody's going to get a phone call. But
yeah, it looks like it's doing okay now.
Oh.
Yeah, we went out one morning to go to church and some drunk was passed out in our car. We had some adventures there in that little town. I tell you what.
You got to write about them. Put those in stories.
Really,
make them infamous.
Yeah, I gotta use those life experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you're published, people stay away from you.
Yeah, they're like,
remember
I don't
that.
want to be in a book.
Remember.
Jessica said, thankfully we have events and shows coming up, and we get to have Heroes for Kids Comic-Con in 2021. Yes, you guys, Heroes for Kids is in Perryville, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And just if you want to share the link, please do share the link in the comments.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it is the same time as Riders in the River in Peoria for us, so we won't be able to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fantastic show. All the money goes to charity.
Wonderful cause.
That's cool.
And there's going to be some amazing people there. I know Brian K. Morris is going to be there. I believe Michaela Jade may be there. Molly Daniels.
Oh, good.
There's a great list of people. So definitely go check that show out if you're anywhere near Perryville, Missouri.
Awesome.
Okay, so we have Carl. Let's see. Do you prefer comic work or doing individual artworks?
That's a good question. It depends on the, I'm kind of a one-stop shop. because I write and then I do the work. And maybe it's me because I'm a control freak, maybe, but I think that doing individual artwork has its own space, you know, but I think that doing comic art, I think that just storytelling in general, I think it's a really, you can say so many things with one picture, but when you get the story out there and it inspires somebody else, that's the trick. So, and sometimes a single piece of artwork doesn't do that all the time. It might if you're Van Gogh or Picasso, but you know, and I think that one of the things about comic book art though too is that it can be, sometimes the art can outweigh the story. If the story doesn't have a really good, as you know, as a writer, if it doesn't have goods, it won't matter if it, you know, is dipped in gold. It's still going to, you know, if it doesn't inspire anybody or doesn't do anything with anything. That was one of the reasons when I wrote Retrieve, I was concerned because I'm a watercolor artist by what I really love about everything I do here pretty much. I'm doing a lot of digital art too now coming out, but a lot of the stuff I do is watercolor, so and ink. And I wanted to build a comic book to show people that if you have a story, you can do this if you're an artist not to worry about not being Marvel or DC or Dark Horse or don't do that to yourself. Get the story out. And I was everybody knows that I was fortunate enough that I had the second book out and I got a phone call from a producer in Hollywood that's scripting Retrieve now. And that was icing on the cake because I knew if I did this the right way, the story, even if the art wasn't everybody's forte, it wasn't a quote unquote Marvel book.
Yeah.
I knew that if I could do that and get the story out, the story had enough balls, if you want to call it that. It had enough grit so that it could, you know, it would take hold.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. So comic book is great, artwork's great, but you got to inspire. Doesn't matter if you're drawn on a napkin.
True,
you know, raise somebody's awareness, get somebody to, you know, to do something for themselves if they've got a story. Not everybody has a book in them, but everybody's got a story. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, now, did you send me a picture of Retrieve out of the pictures you sent me?
I did. There's there's two pictures of it looks like a robot. His name's Archimedes. You'll see it there's one like a red. It's like a multicolor one. It's black. Okay. It's got like spikes around. Yeah, that one.
So that one?
That was book one.
Okay.
And that one starts out, it's a sci-fi thriller. It talks about reincarnation, and there's two brothers that, if you want me to I can give you the elevator pitch if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's two brothers. It's set in the future, about 50 years in the future. And I like stories like that because it's obtainable. I didn't want to necessarily have a story that was, you know, oh God, it's, you know, another nuclear holocaust and they're rummaging for food. I didn't want that. I wanted it 50 years ahead of time, where we're at right now. The computer series that we deal with now, everything that's computerized now is silicone based. Well, in the future, everything will be water based. It'll be fluid based. There's no limit to what you can produce as far as running what they call algorithms. They can do these algorithms that are way, way past what we can do now. So the processing, what we're on right now is going to be a rock compared to what they can do in the future. So these two brothers, both graduates from MIT, come out with an algorithm that can track a human soul. They basically make a fingerprint on souls that people have already passed away.
Wow.
So what they've done is they came up with the idea that, well, if we can do this, what if they believe in reincarnation in the future. Okay, so a soul comes back to Earth. Well, if they can get it down to within a 3 to 5 year window of when that soul is going to come back, not necessarily in the body it was in, you know, in the way it was before. Mm-hmm. What if we could track criminals that were never brought to justice in the past? So what it happens is Retrieve is a series. It's a designed to say, what if you're who you are right now, Amy, mm-hmm. and they come to find out that you were actually Dr. Mengele or Hitler in a past life. You aren't that way now, but they find out that actually when they regress you hypnotically,
you've done all these horrible things.
You've done all these horrible things, and they've got it down to where the algorithm shows that the fingerprint of this soul is you. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of dynamic. The UN gets involved. There's a lot of things here that the brothers really weren't ready for. And the character in the beginning of that book is Archimedes, the robot. He's basically the AI that runs all these algorithms.
Mhm.
And he actually becomes pretty much the human side of the whole kit and caboodle, the whole thing that happens. Ultimately, these two brothers, the last name's Satcher, and they're descendants of a Holocaust family. And the great-great-grandfather escaped from the concentration camps. And he always talked about, he left them these videos because they're obviously 100 years later, they've never met him. But they saw these videos, and he would always talk about, I wish they would have gotten these monsters that they never could prosecute because they killed themselves or whatever. Well, they end up tracking down Hitler. They end up tracking down Mengele. They track down all these SS officers that were never brought to justice in a past life. Now they're bringing them to, and that's the storyline. And that's the one that was picked up.
I like
Thanks.
that.
That's the one that was picked up. Craig Hall out in California picked it up. He's a producer. We're working on the script right now. It should be done. We're shooting for September right now. It's been about a year now. And then
Mhm.
everything happened, COVID, all this, we're right in the midst of it, and then the wildfire, and on and on.
Yeah.
But it's cool because we're actually, I've learned so much about the story, because the way he's doing is live action compared to what I'm doing in the syllabus. It's totally different.
Yeah.
He's picking out, he actually has they're doing like plot, figuring out where they're going to be shooting. They have to put everything together for a package deal for the movie houses to purchase.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating, the whole ins and outs. I don't even care if it gets made into a movie, as long as it's optioned. Optioning is the big thing. If you can just get an option, that's free money, because they take it off the block, and I'm still writing the rest of the books as I'm doing this. So I'm trying to correlate the story with the script now, which is interesting. That's been so I've kind of taken a hiatus about 6 months to a year on book 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to launch Archimedes, a whole nother series after that. So there's a lot of interest in what's going on. So it's
That's awesome.
it's a
That's
really good
exciting.
story. And
It really
Yeah.
is. I like
we're
that.
excited.
I have a friend that her book was optioned by Warner Brothers for
Yeah.
18 months.
Yep.
And then they decided not to do it, so she got her rights back, and then it was optioned again by another studio.
Yeah, that's a trick.
And so, I mean, like you said, it'd be nice to have it made, but if it's not,
I'm a realist. I'm a complete realist. And you know what? Maybe it might not be live action. Maybe it'll be animation. You never know. There's all different kinds of avenues it can be go with.
Take 6 options.
So
Still very cool. Still
right.
very
So,
cool.
Yeah. So
Not
we're
a
excited.
lot of people can say their book has been optioned, whether it goes to
And and it can do one of two things. It builds a lot of animosity. If you decide a lot of people don't like you being successful, and that's great. No problem.
Yeah, goody for
And
them.
then you got other people that like, awesome. I can't wait to see it. When can we? And that's great too. And that's kind of what I plug into. That's my.
Yeah. Those are the people you listen to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are the people that are worthy of your attention. I mean, I always said, and I know it's a common saying, those that matter don't mind, and those that mind don't matter.
Yeah. Right.
You got to go with the positive and ignore all the rest. Because there's always going to be somebody out there that's mad.
Absolutely. One, it's nice too. It's nice having validation, and that's legitimate. It's legitimate. When I got the phone call from Craig, and he says, "Okay, you got 2 books out. I'm ready to do this. Let's do this." And this guy he's no joke. I mean, he's a producer. He's done a lot of work.
Yeah.
And he says the idea is awesome. He said it can go all different ways. He said, who would you go after? Would you not go after the criminals? Maybe go and find John Lennon again, or find Gandhi, or whatever. What would you do? Who you could rebuild the world with and just awakening the soul that's just around again, that wouldn't know who they were before.
Yeah.
It's interesting stuff. It's a real head trip.
Right. Yeah.
So,
That's very cool.
Really cool.
Definitely I'm going to have to get with you and get some copies of these.
Oh, sure. We'll work it out.
Absolutely.
My wife's becoming a fan of yours too, so we'll have to.
we'll
work it out.
Trading.
We'll work it out. No problem.
We will do some trading. Absolutely. Okay, so let's see more comments. Let's see. Okay, so here is the link. Facebook.com Heroes for Kids Perryville, Missouri.
Really good.
And Facebook.com Heroes for Kids Comic Con. So you guys definitely check that out. Definitely going to have to check that out. Sounds pretty awesome.
Are they how are you guys with how are like here in Michigan, they're not doing anything. So what's going on? Like, how do they do the CDC stuff? And you guys are masked up, you're doing
Yeah, Jessica, how are they doing it in Missouri? I know Illinois right now, they've backed us. We were like at 5.
Yeah.
And then they backed us back to 4.
Yep.
I think right now, as long as you're wearing masks and
That's
they're doing limitations on how many people can be in a building.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as long as you're wearing masks and your hand sanitizing, it's pretty easy going at the moment, and hopefully
That's
it
good.
stays that way.
That's good. Oh, I hope so too. Keep fingers crossed. It's good.
Yeah. I'm so ready for normal again.
Yep. I
And
understand.
I guarantee I'm doing my best not to complain about anything
No.
after this.
No.
I just want normal again.
Yep. I agree.
Oh my gosh.
I agree.
Yeah. So okay, did you write before you started art, or you started with you were doing architecture?
I was
Or were
I
you
went
doing art
to fine art school. My mom, my dad's like, okay, you got 2 choices. Okay, here you go. You either go to architecture school or you go to automotive training school, something that's going to get you into CAD or whatever. This is before CAD came out.
first?
He was still drawing. They were still doing clay models back when he was, working for Ford.
Mhm.
He passed away in 2012, but before he retired in about 1993, I think. But my mom was like, "Do you want to be an artist?" Okay, great. You want to be an artist. You're not going to make any money doing this. Is back in the day, because this is
Yeah.
before the internet, before any of this stuff.
Yeah.
This is like the late 80s. My mom's like, "Would you rather have people buy your art, or would you rather have people live in your art?" And I'm like, okay. And that was, my dad was a Welshman, so everything that dealt with being from Wales was Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright was the greatest American architect ever lived, and he was a Welsh descendant. So in my house, Frank Lloyd Wright was like it. It was like Sean Connery, Roger Moore, and Frank Lloyd Wright. That was
Right.
it. Done.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of reared in this Frank Lloyd Wright stigma all my life. So organic architecture was something I was just, my library's full of these testament books built on Frank Lloyd Wright, all of his biography and this incredible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really fortunate because my dad was really into that. He bought me these books and he made sure they were signed, and he did everything that he could to get me interested in it. And I didn't give a crap about it when I was younger. I am so thankful for it now.
Yeah.
And anyway, so my mom was like, you would rather have them like Frank Lloyd Wright. You'd want them to live in your art, right? And I'm like, yeah, that would be really cool. And that's how I started. That's how I got into architecture. And they had a vocational training school in high school, and did the 2 years before I went to college. They gave me college credit, all that stuff. And I won an award. And when I was 17, I won a national award for lighting design I did. And it was in all over the place. There's lighting in theaters all over the country, and really freaking cool. Got my name in the newspaper, and they gave me college credit for winning this award. They gave me like 6 months or a year of college for free at a certain college. Anyway, so needless to say, that kind of drove me into that. But I was always drawing. Freehand drawing was what I did. I was always art, paint, whatever, in comic books. But cars were a big thing. I was always drawing cars, hot rods, you name it. Because my dad, that was, I was into that. My dad was always bringing home a leather wrapped Mustang nobody saw for 2 years, that kind of stuff. And they have them all like hidden,
Yeah.
So that was kind of, looking up to my father and everything. But drawing, though, I was always doodling. I would be on the phone and I would doodle things constantly. And it was just who we are. Once you're there, it's like writing, you're constantly thinking. And so, yeah, that was, and that's how I started writing. It's a weird thing because I started writing the stories down in art, kind of like not hieroglyphics, but they were kind of, that's how I would remember the story, by a picture. And then I started putting 2 and 2 together over the years and saying, I'm going to write that story. And I would fill up a notebook. And then I started really going, okay, 10 years ago, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. How do we do that? So, and then I started whittling my way down out of architecture. After 2008, it was a leveling. I mean, literally 1 week, we had all the jobs lined up for the government, you name, in 1 week, we were unemployed. The whole fleet of us.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It was,
Wow.
and until 2011, it was just, it was starving. There was nothing. You couldn't get arrested to design somebody's home. I mean, it was unbelievable. anyway, so things changed. And that's when that plan B kind of kicked in. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. I can design if I want to. I can draw small homes. That's kind of my thing now. I was a ADA compliant designer. So I did a lot of handicap accessibility, and I made a lot of people's lives easier. And that really paid for me. It was worth every penny. I learned so much about who I was. I knew you design differently when you don't have kids than when you do. Because when I was designing, when I got out of college, Mr. Arrogant, I worked for Home Depot Corporation. I was flying all over, doing all this stuff, new store development. You get to the point where you're designing 30 inches and higher. When you have kids, it's 30 inches and under, because your kids are bumping into stuff. And that made me change a lot of things. And then the ADA compliancy thing came in, and I started learning about people with challenges. I don't consider them handicaps. It's just challenges. And how we can make their lives easier. And then I got into retirement villages, and that changed my life too. Seeing these, my heart goes out to kids of parents that are older, because a lot of them just don't know how to handle it psychologically. It's a drop-off center. They can't handle having a daycare for their parents. They just can't do it.
Yeah.
And some of them just leave them. And I got to the point where I got really tight with a lot of these older people, really tight. And they were like my kids' grandparents. And then they would pass away. They'd slip and fall, break their hip. And about 2 months later, they'd have dementia and they'd be gone.
Yeah.
And that just killed me. I must have gone through 25, 30 people that were just, and that really, when all that settled, all the dust settled and everything, I'm like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. I can't, it's too much stress. I don't want to be, I want to be in more people's lives than this, you know what I mean? Than just at the ending of their lives because nobody else cared. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be inspiring. I want to have something that excites people, that gets them to think outside the box, not necessarily architecture, but in a story,
Yeah.
And that's really how it boiled into what I'm doing. So
cool. That's cool.
I'm so sorry. My dog apparently has decided that he's hungry. I can hear him flipping his metal bowl in the kitchen.
If you hear we have a puppy, Calypso. She's great, but she's loud sometimes.
Hits it and flings it.
That's all good. I can't even hear him, so don't worry about it. As long as John doesn't start doing it, I'm good. If John starts doing it, then we'll call it.
Oh my gosh, I can just see him in there mad, just slam that thing around. Like, where's my food?
Is that the one that just tore that toy to crap?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
What a shot. What a picture that was of him snarling. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I laughed my head off when I saw that. If you guys haven't seen that, you need to look. You have to get on her Facebook. That was so funny.
It's on my my author Amy Hale page.
Yeah.
I've shared this there, so you can see
So
it even
funny.
if we're not friends.
I told Christine about it. She says, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got to get on there. It's hysterical." Does he do that on cue, or was he just upset with you?
No, he actually
smiles.
We're in the process of training. Doesn't all the time, but we can go smile, and he'll go.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
We've got we just got this. We lost a dog a few weeks ago, but we've had that was 13 years old. He was a great dog, Murphy. But we got Calypso right beforehand, probably about 2 months, about a month and a half. Just not, because we wanted to have something I thought would help him out a little bit. He was getting older, but Calypso's got this. She's starting to lose her teeth, so every once in a while we'll see, something over here or a piece over here. I'm like,
yeah, that's weird.
Chris is picking them up. We don't know if we should keep them or not, so we're just kind of putting them away and just,
yeah. Those
it's
puppy
fun.
teeth. It's weird when you find those
It
laying
is.
around the house.
It is, and you feel badly. You feel terrible because you don't know if they're hurt or
But so I gotta ask, because I'm talking about your drawing background.
Yeah.
How did you get from everything that you were there to the tikis?
Good question. Car culture has always been something. It's just part of Detroit. You know what I mean? You can't get around it. There's always hot rods. There was not everybody in my neighborhood in Livonia was different. Livonia is a suburb of Detroit, and you had there's two kinds of union workers. There's the line guys and girls, and then there's the designers, guys and girls. So my dad was an engineer type. He was that kind of shirt and tie, the white collar. And he told me once, he said to me, he says, if you ever think you're better than any of these people on the line, he said, I failed you. And if you ever cross the line, and if you're doing what I do, or you're working in the line or whatever, he said, I'll disown you. He said, these people put together what we try to think of, and it's so hard, and it's hot, and it's miserable what they have to go through, in some of the conditions that they have to deal with. He said, I'm telling you. So when he did that, it kind of put this umbrella for me growing up, because I never really fit in. I fit in with the jocks. I fit in with the nerdy kids. I fit in with the dirts, what we used to call the dirts. And then we'd be out in the smoke. I would just fit in with everybody. That's just who I was. And it's still who I am. And so you'd get the guys that were in our subdivision that had daddy's lease car. They get a brand new lease car every 2 years. I was one of them. Hated it. Barf. And then you get the other guys that were working on the motors, working on the 302s and the Mustangs, and working on the 350. And that's how I kind of got involved into this whole revival stuff, this retro. You know what? It's not a bad thing to go to a junkyard, find the hubcap from a 55, blah, 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 put it on this. It's okay. You can go to the Salvation Army and find stuff. When I was younger, I'm like, no. My parents weren't like that, but I'm like, come on. You know what I mean? It was just different for me. Then I met my wife, and then it was like on steroids after that. Finding things, finding the retro things, finding everything from the old guitars to, it just kind of snowballed. Old cameras, tiki art, tiki architecture was all just part of it, And then I started getting into the whole retro thing. I'm like, okay, cool. Fedoras, I'm digging that. I dig old Hawaiian shirts that nobody else is going to wear. Awesome. That's who I am now. Mm-hmm. If you would have met me 22 years ago with Christine, you would have been, I was always suit and tie, blah, blah, blah. I was married to somebody else that just, it wasn't me. I thought it was. It was that, it was that golf course lifestyle, and it wasn't realistic. It's not sustainable, for one. Mm-hmm. And it's just that's not who I am. It's not where I'm from. That's, my parents might have had money, but they never acted like they were better than that. They were probably it's such a weird thing to say, but they were the biggest hearted people, and they put it, they put it in writing. They did it. They went and did things for people. Mm-hmm. And, but the tiki art and everything else, I really think that it just came about because of the car culture. And then watching the guys that were working, delivering pizzas on the weekend when I didn't have to. And actually I missed out of that in a way, because I got to see I really honored that. I really appreciated them putting in the sweat equity. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate what my parents did. So I didn't have to do that, but even though I wanted to do it, it was, so I'm looking back on all that and I'm thinking, man, and then you get into the rockabilly music and and it just snowballs. You can't, motorcycles, working on bikes, and it gets in your blood. So the tiki is just another facet to the whole culture of it, I think, whether it's the music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So pinstriping, whatever, Yep.
I've got a pinstriping buddy. That and his signatures is kind of a little tiki.
Awesome. And it gets in your blood, man. I'm telling you. And I love rat rods, man. A rusty patina car, I'm good. Clear coat that thing, I'm driving it,
Yeah.
Love
His stuff. I ever swore if I ever got a bike I thought I was actually going to keep, I would have him do one on the fender, and that'd be the end of it. We'd
be done, huh?
it and be done.
Yeah, any like a matte finish, black. I'm just all about it, And I think that anybody who just writes the check for it, it's a shame, because I think you need to have some sweat equity in it.
Yeah.
Even if you can, even if you can, if you're trying to help somebody else out, that's fine. I get that, but and that's really why I like tiki art, because the Polynesian thing, the whole, and I'm not talking about like, the great white movement in the 50s and all this stuff where everybody's going to Hawaii. I'm talking about people just enjoying it, looking at the different styles of tiki art that you can do, and you can do it yourself too. Have fun with it. No matter what your background is, or economics, or whatever, your ethnicity, whatever, doesn't matter.
My right shoulder is as one giant tiki.
Is it sweet? All right.
With the iguana.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Amy,
one of my
all right.
favorite
I want to see a picture of that off camera.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
It's one of my favorite tattoos ever.
Awesome.
I
Well, it should be.
The guy that did it did a beautiful job. He really did.
Is he still around, the guy?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's his name? Shout out. Give him a shout out.
It's
Brandon.
Ren City Tattoos.
Ren City Tattoos in
Cool.
Benton, Illinois.
In Benton, Illinois, and it's Brandon that did it. I believe he's the owner.
Yep,
Awesome.
he's the owner.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Matter of fact, he did
the original.
He did part of mine as well.
The original artwork came from
David Clark at Red Banana.
Sure.
Red Banana Art.
I know that one.
He
Awesome.
drew the concept, and then Brandon applied it.
Awesome.
More or less.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Good deal.
Yeah.
So when did you get into tiki art?
It's just, I don't know. It's all things love of the islands, I guess, probably started it. But the pinstriping and I don't, my dad was an original hand painter.
Yeah.
And so I grew up around pinstripers and hand painters and stuff like that. And that same thing, the whole hot rod scene and it was just cool.
When I was a kid, I could go down to Ford at the world headquarters in Dearborn, and you could just walk in the door. You could go right down to where my dad's office was. Back then, it was no big deal. They punch you in. They give you a code or what they call over, say, hey, your son's here, and then they let me in. But during the lunchtime, the guys would have brand new cars brought over. Like my sister had a Pinto or something, and the guys would go out on their lunch because all of them are artists. This is when they airbrushed. Like they would do an engine display cutout on that's the way they did it. It was before CAD. So they were airbrushing and getting there. So on their lunch hour, they'd make a couple $100 or whatever. They'd go out and they'd pinstripe like my sister's car, whoever's car, all kinds, Chevys, Fords, it didn't matter. They'd let whoever into the parking lot. So we'd go out there. I'd go out there, 12 o'clock in the afternoon if I was off of school one day, and you'd see all these guys out there just pinstriping. It was amazing. And this is the environment that I was in growing up. It was just unbelievable. Wow. And some of these guys, were in charge of, like I said, the Ford Mustang. They did the Gran Torino. They were doing all these Shelby's, unbelievable. It's just crazy. So cool. When I look back on it, it's like I looking through books. I'm like, I remember that car. I remember that guy. He worked with my dad.
Dad,
crazy.
One of the things Dad done, and it had to be in the thousands, but show cards.
Oh yeah.
For car shows. I mean,
sure.
It was just that he snapped them. That's what they called it back then. He would just go to a show or something and snap them.
Yep.
And I need all this information, and he'd just pop it out right
ready
there.
To go. Sweet. I made a
tripod and
I made a lot of money in college doing shirts for people for their cars. So like at hot rod shows, they would let me do airbrush shirts for them. And this is back I was 19 or whatever. I didn't charge them anything for it, but I did like old Fairlanes and all kinds of it was just it was really, really cool. I was really fortunate to be in part of that. And architecture paid the bills, but really art's that's who I am.
But
we had one on our honeymoon. At the time, I had a lowrider Nissan.
Sweet.
Now, this was the 90s.
Yes,
sweet. Yeah. Hey, I wanted one. I wanted one.
91.
Yeah. It was it wasn't on airbags, was it? It was just lowered.
No, it was just lowered.
Yeah.
It was just
had pink and teal stripes that went to the back, and then
it
had
palm trees.
Had palm trees that were leaning, like the wind was blowing it. Yeah.
More islands,
That's cool.
And it was funny because we go in this place and we're actually doing our laundry. Go next door and this guy's airbrushing stuff and that's, hey, we'd like to have a shirt. Our little thing back then was Total Devotion, and it was two hearts molded together.
Cool.
And
we weren't cheesy at all.
We had that.
That's right.
We had that on the back window, and in etch. And he come out and he looks at the truck and he goes, "Yeah, that's just cool." He said, "Come back in an hour or so or whatever." So we're like, "Do you want to, take a picture or anything?" No, that's cool. And when we got back, he had it done, and it was
perfect.
It was
spot on, right? Amazing.
And I'm like, how in the world did you remember everything? The little glass etch, the wording in it, our names on each side. Yeah, it was
crazy.
And
real
I
artist.
Still have that T-shirt.
Yeah, she still got that.
Awesome. That's good though. Hey, that's cool.
But I can't wear it, but I still have it.
I can't wear it, but I still have it. But yeah, it was. I still have that T-shirt. Yeah, she still got that. Awesome. That's good though. Hey, that's cool.
Yeah, it
I can't wear it, but I still have it.
You know what? I've been fortunate enough because Chris, I got sick a few years ago and I had to cut out a bunch of stuff out of my diet, and I lost a lot of weight. I lost like 40 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And for me, that's a lot. So I think it was like over 200. I'd never been that heavy. And I got gluten and all this other stuff out of my diet, and I feel a lot better. But, Chris and I, it's funny because I fit in the stuff I used to fit in back, maybe in college, not high school, but I'm like, God, I can't believe it. And a lot of the guys I went to college with, and that they're all like, what are you doing? Is she feeding you? I'm like, no, sir, no, I'm good. I don't eat shit. Excuse me. I don't eat any crap, But yeah, some of the shirts I still have. I mean, I still have. I don't wear them because I'm there, they might fall apart, if I put them on. But, But yeah. The pinstriping was always fascinating to me. Watching the guys, they would make their own brushes with squirrel hair or whatever they did. Amazing. It's a real, it's like Da Vinci stuff. These guys were incredible. I mean, incredible.
I still have.
We still have one of his dad's old mall sticks.
Awesome. Oh yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
My dad left me, when he passed away, he left me all of his watercolors, all of it, the whole thing. And that was one of the reasons I started Retrieve with watercolor, because I used a lot of the paints that he left. So, there's a lot that went into that story. And, maybe that's why I think about reincarnation so much, because I think about, we go on, and maybe that's my own, my own therapy. I don't know. But cool. There's a lot of things that you learn from with your parents. Hopefully they're good,
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like we had two good ones. So
yeah, we did.
We had really good parents. Yeah. Okay, so Jessica says Missouri does not have a mask mandate. However, we will be following Perry Park Center guidelines with temp checks upon entering. Hand sanitizer and masks will be available, and our spaces are 10 by 10, so everyone will have space. So that's good.
Deal.
Yep.
That's good.
Good.
And
look
Ted Davies. I thought I smelled cigars and regrets.
Regrets are cheap, man. I have no regrets. No regrets. You can have all the cigars though, definitely.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask earlier, what did you have today? What cigar did you have today?
That was Brasilia CAO, and it was brilliant. Man, I had that right afterward, and I actually FaceTimed Carl when I was smoking it, because I haven't been feeling well for about 3 weeks, and I didn't have a cigar in about 3 weeks. He said, "Are you sure you're gonna be able to handle that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." So I went, oh man, it was like the best. It was like manna. It was so good. It was so good. I feel so much better today. So, but yeah.
I have not tried that one.
Brilliant. And they've got a really good deal on Cigar International right now on them. Really good deal. Sampler. Terrific.
I have a Camacho.
Oh yeah.
That I'm getting ready to try. I haven't had one of those, but have you had a Crazy Monkey?
No. Well, yeah, I divorced her, but no. Smoking, no. My kids are watching this. I'm sorry. Your mother's great. I mean, go ahead.
I really like that one. Wow.
Okay. Crazy Monkey. Who makes it?
The Crazy Monkey.
All right.
Yeah, it's the only one they make.
Okay.
And it's you have to right now. I think they're order only.
Yeah.
It took about a month to get.
Holy cow!
I think there's maybe 2 distributors now in the United States. They're both up in the far northeast.
Okay.
I think
Crazy Monkey
has a distributorship, and Pennsylvania has a distributorship.
Yep. Yeah, is it like a Connecticut blend or something? Is it real light or is it dark? Or
it's dark, but it is it's about a medium.
Okay, good.
Maybe medium to full, but it is just has a real earthy leather.
Do you pair it with anything? Do you have coffee or scotch or anything? Beer? Anything?
I have not.
Good?
I've only had the one so far, and I haven't had a chance to actually pair it with anything yet. But I think it would go with a bullet bourbon also.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
What doesn't?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. A steering wheel. That's one thing that does not go with it. But
yes.
When you're sitting still, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You okay, Amy? Sorry. But yeah, that's I'm glad that you enjoy cigars. And you know what? Smoke whatever you smoke them if you got them. If they're not real expensive, whatever floats your boat. Don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to drop $10 on a cigar to enjoy it. I don't.
Yeah.
Carl and I both talk about that. Even though Carl invests a lot of money in his cigars.
He does.
I'm cheap. I'm like, I'll buy ones that are decent, but not overkill. I've got a good friend that's got a couple Opus X's, and they're real high end cigar, and you don't really see them too often anymore. But I used to caddy when I was a teenager, and this doctor that I used to caddy with would smoke 3 of these a day.
Oh,
and they were like, at the time when I was a kid, they were like $20 a piece. I can't imagine what they are now.
Wow.
But we've been letting it sit for like 10 years. And one day I'm going to smoke that thing, but it's a one-shot deal. You're not, if you survive the smoke, if you survive it after 10, I don't know. But, but, just enjoy what you have. Don't, the arrogance of it kills the hobby, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Wow. I did not read Kick.
Yeah. You didn't? What did you think?
Look.
When I
that's what I thought too. But...
Okay. When I kick, I don't want to come back as Amy. Attitude included. I don't know if this attitude should go anywhere else after I'm gone.
Yeah.
The next comment
with Kung
Fu Grip. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, you can hide behind that title, but we all know who you are. So.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Thanks so much for that.
Cigars can cure you.
That's right. They can. Actually, we were doing Carl and I were talking. We're not neither one. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I play one on broadcasting, but they thin your blood, and there's a lot of science that goes with it. There's you read about people that are, look at George Burns. I mean, he died. He's in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
The blood thinning properties of tobacco but it's all a balance.
Yeah.
You can't be polluting yourself every day, but some people can. But
and he smoked cheap cigars, isn't that correct?
I think he did.
We heard an interview not too long ago with him talking about how he smoked the really cheap ones.
He said the cheap ones stayed burning longer.
So those
really,
those are the ones he used on his show, and those it's just easier.
He said he got started on them during his comic routine, and he said because the people didn't want to see him taking time to stop and relight.
Got it.
So he needed one that would burn longer.
Yeah, burn long. Yep.
And he said it came in really as a
prop.
As a prop to give them a second to mull on the joke and get it. And
and get his timing down too. I mean,
I
know Groucho had that fake one. For a lot of people, they thought it was real, but I don't know.
Who was it again?
Groucho Marx. He had a fake one. He had that duck and all that other crap. All distractionary, so he could keep up with his. Who's the one guy? Tater Salad. What's his name?
Oh, Ron White.
Ron White, yeah.
So he has got a cigar collection. Oh my God.
Oh, I bet.
I watched him in his house in Beverly Hills. It was up for sale, and he had this promo.
Oh wow.
I mean, he had more cigars in it than I've seen in some cigar shops. Unbelievable. His humidor was unbelievable.
Oh,
it's unreal. The house is incredible. But anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, I can imagine.
God.
That's cool. That's cool.
Crazy monkey goes 4-year-old and a giant size lollipop plus monkey bar.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my. Okay. So crazy.
All right, he got it. Okay.
Thank you, Carl.
Put him up on order, Carl. Let's get some. We'll write them off for the show, man. Make sure
we'll have to do a review.
Yeah, hey, you're on. Hey, we'll figure out do a cigar night. We'll do a cigar night show. And
there
John
you go.
Be on there. You let him smoke in the house, Amy, or no?
Pipes too.
Yeah, I love my pipe.
Do you let him smoke in the house or no?
No.
Yep. Yeah, Chris will not have it. Not have it. I barely can light it.
Even smokes.
Yeah. Well, you haven't lived until you live on a lake and then try to light your cigar.
Oh, I can imagine.
Let me tell you, it is an education unto itself. I had to actually. I've been, what they call painting, where they take the cigar and they light the end. I did it today in front of the sink. I had the window cracked, and I'm like, doing it because I couldn't. It was blowing wind like mad. I'm like, Chris, I got to do this. She's like, whatever. She's working from home this next 2 weeks or whatever. So she's, answering the phone. She couldn't really pay attention to what I was doing, I think. So I did it real quick and then ran out. Even Calypso's looking at me like, the puppy. She's like, oh, you're going to catch hell for that. That's like me pooping in the house. You're done. You're done. But yeah, that's that's a real trick. That's a real trick.
Yeah.
Found it. Put the link in the chat.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. We'll order some up.
And George made it to 100.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I knew he'd made it.
He made it
Oh,
up
did he?
there.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, they used to have a theater in Detroit it was called the Quavadas, and then Mike High Theater, and then they changed it to the George Burns Performance for the Arts, and they had this like huge, I don't think it was college, but they had this huge following of dance troupes, all kinds of people that would come in entertainment venue. It was awesome, and it ran for like 10 years, and then they shut it down. But yeah, they had this huge, almost like it was a silhouette of George Burns on the road. You could see him with his cigar in his hand. It was really freaking cool. I wish I would have taken a picture of it, but it was cool. Really neat.
Let's see. Arlene says, Carl, you are one lucky in the house cigar smoker.
He is.
And he said, and I know it, dear.
That's right. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
Well, you sent us some other books here.
Yeah.
Which do you want to talk about next?
Well, I'll tell you, we're launching a Kickstarter here April 25th for Grimm 101. So if you want to,
let's see.
That's Albino, and then it's the other one. There you go.
For this one, okay.
Yeah. So Grimm 101's it's a dark comedy romance. It's about a being that finds himself in a cemetery. He doesn't know why he's there, and he's there for a couple hundred years. And there's a small cottage that's right next door that a young lady bought, and she starts. And nobody's come to the cemetery anymore. It's been hundreds of years since anybody's been in the cemetery. And he's really bad at his job. And Grimm 101 is basically the book that he finds in the cemetery. Nobody can see him. Nobody can hear him. He's all by himself. And the Grimm 101 basically is a book that tells him how to make people feel terrible when they're in a cemetery. You ever felt that way when you go in and you feel anxiety and you feel
that heavy,
you feel grief, you feel that's his job, to make you feel bad. And he's terrible at it. He ends up, he's kind of a stand-up comic. He just doesn't know it. And people really start enjoying being at this early on. They start enjoying being at a cemetery. They start bringing lunch in to have a lunch by the grave sites. And, they feel good. They feel great about he really sucks at his job. And the Grimm 101 basically is about this character that meets this woman that has a cottage next door, and she's the only one that can see him, and how they form a relationship, and how she thinks that she summoned him because she's a Pinterest witch and doesn't really understand the whole ins and outs, and that's how the comedy ensues. Yeah. So it's a 4-book series, and it'll be coming out. Like I said, we're going to be launching it April 25th, my birthday weekend. Actually, I'll be turning 50. I figured, why not start the Kickstarter?
Yeah, why
on
not?
my birthday. So.
Well,
yeah, so we're excited about that. Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing that. John will be back in a few. He went to
no problem. Pinstriping.
Dog outside our door.
You want some cigar smoking and pinstriping? Yeah. No problem. Cool.
But that sounds great. Definitely when the Kickstarter gets going, let me know. We'll make sure we share links in my groups and my page.
Thank you. I appreciate it kindly. Yeah, we're getting excited. We've got a whole campaign set up. We're working on a few things with it as far as music. There's a lot of things that are happening. The gentleman that Moses the Black is one of the they're the group that actually does all my music for all my promos for my books, and they were really good about putting we're trying to work out a deal right now with the CD with the book, so that you can listen to the CD while you're reading the book. It gives it the ambiance that it needs.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's a really good format. So yeah, Grimm 101. It's going to be a really good book. Okay, a good series. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
A lot of fun.
Let's see. What is Albino Zulu?
So Albino Zulu was kind of a take on, you guys have been to a Comic-Con, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever noticed some of the young, not all of them, but some of the young cosplayers that are kind of dropped off by their parents, and they just run around and they're screaming and nobody's policing them? Well, I was on a podcast, and we were complaining about that, because it was back in the day when we were all at a Comic-Con and that. And I said, wouldn't it be funny if we had an agent that had like a blow dart or something that could just tranquilize these kids with Benadryl and just knock them out until their parents showed up, right? I was joking. I was completely kidding. And I'm like, actually, that's pretty good. And what if he was an albino Zulu tribesman, but he's albino? That's hilarious. Okay, so I wrote that down, and I'm like, okay, that's good. So, and Chris and I were at the only show we had last year, in February, last year. We were at a mall, and it was really successful. Really, just, I mean, everything flew off the tables. We had all this artwork, live draw. It was just great. But the problem was I didn't have anything for kids. Retrieve isn't really meant for kids. It's a hard story, Retrieve, about reincarnation and all this, and maybe for a younger teen or an older teen, but it's just not made for kids that are 8 years old or 7 years old. And a lot of them were coming up and say, "Hey, can you draw this for me?" or whatever. Parents would, for a $5 or $10, whatever it was. And I'm like, we need to do something for the kids. So what if we come up with an idea, kind of like 007 meets Ferris Bueller's Day Off? We got something that's going to be fun. So what ALBINO ZULU it's a book that you can print off. You can get a PDF on my website, teddaviesartshoe.com. All my books are there. But you can get this one as a PDF, a booklet that you could actually print off. It's all black and white. The kids can actually color the whole thing. But it gets him, and it's more so his journey. He's an adopted baby that's found by a Zulu tribesman. And the story goes, basically the Zulus have a huge amount of technology, but they don't show anybody. And this is what he does is he teaches his son, Albino, about the technology that they have and all these different things that they can do. So, and how they can ward off evil in the world. And Albino is that character. So, but I wanted to get it so that the kids had something that they could draw that might get them into comic books a little bit more, the stories and and he's got like I don't know if you guys know what a pangolin is. You know what a pangolin is? No, it's kind of like an aardvark from Africa. Basically, it's a really rare animal, but he's got this, the story. He's got a pangolin trainer. This animal trains him how to fight. It's really quite funny. So, and he's got this spear, and it goes on and on, but there's a lot of folklore in it, and it's just fun. But we've got one book out right now. I've got the other book. I just haven't produced it because we haven't a show. I just wanted something that the kids could use. But what we really wanted was that Christine and I wanted something that the kids could either buy, that they could afford. This is not like it's like a $3 comic. It's something very easy to purchase, and or they can have their parents print it off at home, and then they can color it in, and they send it back to me. And we got a virtual refrigerator and things that we put on and show what they did with the colors, and it's fun. It's interactive, and that's what we wanted to do with Albino.
That is awesome.
That is.
I love that idea.
Yeah, thanks. It's all marketing, but we want to make sure kids are enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like sometimes there's not enough out there for kids.
Right, and it's positive. It doesn't have to be gory. It doesn't have to be and it's something to be fun.
Gets them into comics, art, all at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, and it's such a play on words. He doesn't have a blow dart gun. He doesn't shoot anybody with blow darts. I'm just repressing that, disclaimer. But ALBINO ZULU, just the name itself kind of, it sparks interest. What are you talking about? Now, ALBINO ZULU, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And he loves rock and roll music. Everything throughout the whole book he's constantly singing something about, Sweet Child of Mine or something, all kinds of stuff. It's really quite funny.
That's
throughout,
awesome.
He's humming different songs, and it's kind of funny. But he's in the middle of he's in the middle of Serengeti, and he's jamming to AC/DC, and it's just funny. Anyway,
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh,
you got to have some fun. So.
Oh yeah, you do absolutely. So let's talk about your shows. You have 4 broadcasts.
Yeah,
is that right?
Pretty scary. Yeah, pretty scary. And people are watching them. People are watching. I can't get over we've had such a following. YouTube has been one thing. One thing I've learned about YouTube. It's not really about the subscribers, because I've got the StreamYard. You put things on Facebook and Twitch or whatever else, and it just flies. It goes all over the place. And YouTube is kind of the empire. It just kind of gets caught. Maybe they catch the ball every once in a while. I mean, I might have 15 views on one thing, or maybe 300 views, but I've got 2,000 views on something else, the same video. It's just somewhere else. It's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
The audience vary, I think, depending on the topic and
right. And YouTube doesn't really. I think I've told this to you before. I don't really have a niche, because I'm kind of a variety. I do I do an interview show. We do cigar show once a month, and then we do TED Talks timepieces and TED Talks interviews, and then we do Drinking with the Davies. And a lot of the things too, they don't like alcohol and tobacco.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. You know, we put the disclaimer out there, and you know, we're adults. But we try to sell the sizzle, not the steak. That's the way Christine and I wanted to show that we could show you, hey, you don't have to binge drink. You don't have to even drink. This is what you would do though if you wanted to have a little bit of culture. Look at what they did in the old days, you know. And this is check this out and take it for what it is. It's a buffet, you know. Take what you want. So
yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of what Ted Davies artistry is about. So
yeah, and I love that. I love that you've not boxed yourself into one thing.
Yeah. Well, I spent 30 years designing outside the box, you know, in architecture. Why would I do it now? Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
and that's something that I've tried not to do. I mean, I started out, I said, writing romance, but as much as I love it, that's not all I want to write. That's not all I want to do.
Right. Well, how do you feel now though? You just finished this last one though, right?
It's not a thriller. It's not romance. Yeah. So that was like a big jump because everything up to this point has had a romantic element of some sort. You know, it focused around the relationship with whatever adventure was happening around it. Where this focuses on her mental health and how her life is being turned upside down. Yeah, there's a boyfriend, and there's a therapist who has his own relationship issues, but those aren't the focal point of the story. So that was different for me. I actually found it a little difficult trying to get going. Because I was, I have a certain
right. Well, you've done 10 books, right? 11 books in romance, right? So I get that. I can totally understand that.
Changing that up a little bit was a challenge, but I really did like the challenge, and I'm eager to do more.
Yeah. So, well, I think once we stretch ourselves, like I said, this broadcasting thing 2 years ago, I said, you're out of your mind. You know, now it's like, whatever, let's do it. You know, how many people can we help? How many people can you inspire with that story? And you're growing while you're doing it. That's huge. That's great.
And being able to share what other people are doing has been fantastic.
Big time.
It's been nice to be able to do this, talk about what you're doing, and just be able to, people that may not have met you, hopefully now are, and they're going to check out what you're doing and
appreciate it.
Especially in a time when communication has been pretty minimal.
We're in a, we can make it what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I've met more people online, once all of us meet and everything's safe and we can meet, it's one thing. We can have dinner, a cup of coffee, but it's been such a blessing being able to have the technology to do this. 30 years ago, would you have thought we would be doing this?
No kidding.
No way.
No.
We were still on dial-up back then, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of blows my mind how quickly technology has progressed in the last 20, 30 years even.
Yeah.
Well, you could imagine this happening 30 years ago. The economy would have tanked.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't have thought, no.
You know, because everything would have been shut down. I can't believe the amount of meetings I've had and work. Just part of our company was more last year than it had ever been.
Yeah,
certain segments of it, and it's crazy to think that during a pandemic you'd actually grow.
Right. And here was my thing when all this went down, and Chris and I got sick. We didn't know what was going on. It was Upper Michigan. Nobody knew what was going on. People were traveling. They came back, and then all of us started getting sick. We didn't know what was going on. So we chalked it up. Okay. And then everything started coming out of the, and then we found, I'm like, okay, I bet you that's what we had. Cause we were really sick, really, really sick. Then I was talking to Brian. I really started getting involved with more of the Rising Tide and watching things and just getting everything. I was writing a lot. I was already getting published and I was starting to get things rolling. And I said, okay, well, how many people can we help? Because I said to Chris, I said, what if we built our own market? And that's something I want everybody to listen to, because you can build your own market. And I'm not saying by minimizing how many books you have printed and they only sell 20 of them and you keep 30 of them back. I'm not saying that. It's how many people can you help? How many people can you connect with and get their stories out? Because that's the value, right? It's not about Ted. It's about how I can help Amy and John get maybe to another level to where they're feeling better. And I do it every week. I try to do it with as many people as I can, on an interview. And that's really, I mean, that's it. If you don't have a value of other person's dreams, and yours will happen, but you got to help somebody else first. That's how it works.
Yep.
Yeah. I fully believe in the karma.
Big time karma believer. Yeah.
And I know we've talked about affirmations.
Yep.
And putting that out there. You know,
we talked about that on our when I interviewed you. Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to get what you put out there. You're going to receive back.
Yep.
And just like you said, the value. If what I'm doing holds no value to someone else, why am I doing it?
Right. Is it only to benefit me?
Yeah. Yeah. If it's just for me, I mean, that's great for like on a therapy level.
Right.
You know?
Short term. It's a short-term fix. Yeah.
But if I'm not doing something that helps someone else, then I don't feel like I'm doing my job.
Right.
You know?
Even if it's, you know, like with Chris and I doing the drinking show, even if it's just getting somebody out of their head for a couple minutes, 20 minutes, just to laugh and say, man, they got a really good relationship. Or I remember when we were like that, and maybe we should do something like that again, or so, you know, that kind of, or, you know, isn't that awesome that they're thinking, man, I remember when we had that drink. Do you remember when we were 20 and we did that? Whatever. You're building value, but you're also producing content. So it's a win-win, you know?
Yes, absolutely. There's those memories that get drummed up.
I love seeing people too that are on like TED Talks when I can interview people and they're not used to being interviewed, and they're not good at promoting themselves, and they have no structure as far as how they're going to do anything. And then all of a sudden they plug into what I'm doing. And then they write back to me, hey, thanks for giving me the software. Thanks for telling me about the software. Thanks for getting me to do that because I met this person. That's awesome. And I'm not tooting my own horn. It's just, it's working is what I'm saying. You can do this. Somebody else can do this too.
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. And on that, why don't we, let's see, what was my question? So what advice do you have for anyone that wants to get into writing, art, or broadcasting? You can answer all three or just one or whatever.
First off, plug into Rising Tide. None of us make any money. We don't own it. It's a network that is affiliations. Plug into what you're seeing. Get around the creative people that are promoting other people. If you get into people that are just negative and they're trying to censor you or everything else, then that's not who you want to be with. First off, you got to surround yourself with the people you want to be like. If you don't, you're going to always make the same amount of money with the people that are around you.
Yeah.
That was one rule I learned in corporate America. One of the other thing is too, you have to have compassion and empathy before you do anything. If you don't love yourself, you don't love other people, you're not going to do anything. You might as well not even pick up the pencil or hit the typewriter or the keyboard. Don't even worry about it. Right. You need to tell your story, but don't think that it's just for your own therapy. You need to look at it from 20 years from now, that there might be somebody reading it in a library book on a Sunday night because they don't have enough money to buy the book. And this sparked their interest. And you might end up inspiring them to do something.
Yeah.
That's what you want to look at. And then I said, always get a YouTube channel. Start. Even if you don't put anything on there, at least you can get on there. And if you got an iPhone, use it. If you've got to get on there, YouTube is our university. You can look through the gamut on, look through everything I'm doing on YouTube and that just to see. And it just starts out. You'll see my first video. The lighting was bad. The microphone was bad. You could see the bed sheet. I think the pillow was in one of my videos before I started setting up the studio. So, I mean, it happens. And and you know what? I've gotten more views on that than I think I've done anything else. So, because it inspired somebody. It's like, look at this fool, if he can do it. And as time goes on, get yourself a sponsor. You don't have to you can get monetized by YouTube. That's great. But try to find a sponsor, somebody that's maybe like I did with a roasting company. They ended up, they do a ton of business for me. And it's great. Whether it's microphones, lighting, whatever, there's all kinds of, and coffee to boot. Find the person that maybe needs help advertising for them. Say even if it's a craft thing or whatever. find something that it could be beneficial to both of you. And if they can sponsor you, even if it's a couple bucks, whatever, a month, or if it's getting their product out and then they pass your books out, whatever it is, get something out there to where you've got some type of promotional thing that you have a sponsor, because that makes a big difference. And then just go from there. But the first thing is you got to have compassion, empathy, regardless of whatever you're doing, and then go from there. YouTube, get on YouTube, get the Rising Tide connection, get everybody there. And then that's it. I mean, the rest is, and then put out content that you feel is valuable, that somebody's going to learn from. Yeah. And don't be an arrogant shit. If you're an arrogant piece, then then you're missing it. You're missing it.
Yeah.
There's okay to be off camera and lose it for a couple minutes. I get that, especially in today's world. I get it. Totally understand.
Yeah.
And then I don't tell people to find a niche, because I think variety is a niche. I think that when YouTube forces you into a section, into a corner, you're kind of, are you entertainment? Are you education?
Yeah.
Eventually what's going to happen is you're going to see a flip. You're going to see it flip though. You're going to see, oh, okay, well then all of a sudden you're going to have some broadcasting company or whatever say, oh, but they've got a full gamut. Okay, cool. We can put them on all different levels then. You're going to see that. Watch. Mark my words.
Yep.
Because that's just only one part of the pie right now. Yeah. It'll switch. It'll switch.
Yeah.
And educate yourself on what's around you. Don't take no for an answer. I've been proving people wrong for 40 years, and I'm telling you, I still do it. And you're not everybody gets the first book out of the gate and gets a contract in LA. It doesn't happen.
No.
I was fortunate, and I did not take it for granted at all. So you got to make sure your stories are yours for one, and make sure that you're how many people are you going to take with you? And that's kind of my motto. How many people can I take with me?
Yeah.
So John, be nice to me.
And I fully believe in having your tribe.
You big time.
Talk about having the people surround you, and you'll have different types of tribe. I talked about this with Terry Maggart. You'll have those that are your really close circle, and then you'll have that next level of people.
Yep.
It'll branch out to where eventually you have a lot of people surrounding you. They're not all on the same level, but you're connected in some way, and those can all be useful. Those can all be helpful. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ted's Tribe is that's one thing about my name. I've been able to market very well. Ted's Tribe, or Caffeinate Ted as a promo code or whatever. I got all kinds of things I can work on my name, which is great. Branding is really important too.
Yeah.
Get a true branding that's yours.
I agree.
And you do that. I mean, come on, Creative as Hale. Come on. Hale's Angels. Pff,
yeah.
Done. Drop the mic. I'm out. Come on. It's like perfect. And that's don't necessarily copy people, but follow certain things that they do. I didn't want to have a fez on. I wore a fedora a lot longer than I knew Brian, but, and that's just me though. That's the guy that, he's the guy who has cigar show and wears a fedora.
Yeah.
But get your own thing. You don't have to all do the 50s rockabilly thing.
Yeah.
If you're into steampunk or diesel punk or whatever, and
I think be authentic about it. Don't just
don't be a copycat
on a fez because you think that's what's popular.
Yeah.
If you're actually into them, okay. But
be authentic.
If you're not authentic in your interest, it's going to show.
It will. And I think you that's one thing I like about you, because you're always up front. You don't, well, I already said a cuss word once before, so you don't take shit. If there was something that really ticked you off, John would be pushed off to the side and you would be in the camera. I know, and just the way you are. That's cool. And I appreciate that, because that's the way I would want you to be. I wouldn't want you to be passive. I want you to be legitimately who you are, and then, I've had other people that are completely off the rails. So you've got to vet. You have to vet you have to filter people too.
There.
Yeah, there's got to.
Yeah.
I've got some people that are just like, okay, you're off the reservation. We're done. We're done. Okay.
From beginning to end is nothing but curse words.
Right.
And when they're done, you still don't know what they were talking about.
And listen to criticism as a guideline. It's not a law. Because I've had some people critique me that I'm like, in your gut, you're like, no, that's not right. I don't feel that. That's not, and go with your gut constantly. I'm telling you, it will never, ever sway you. You know, people talk about it being the Holy Ghost or whatever. Your gut's there for a reason. You know, call it a guardian angel, whatever. You got to go with it.
Yeah.
Always go with your gut.
We got Aaron Hawkins language. And he's laughing. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We're all adults here. I'm pretty sure I have very few, if any, children viewers, so I'm not too worried about it.
Good.
Let's see. Carly says nothing but curse words. Carl, they're talking about me. The green room doesn't count.
No, it doesn't. No. Yeah, Ted doesn't wear the fedora in the green room either. It's very.
His business hat has been taken off.
Right. They've got what's the one thing they call me? They've got me green room Ted, and then when I get to business, well, you've witnessed me in meetings, you know, boardroom Ted. They call me boardroom Ted, and that's kind of how I was in architecture. So they're like, Jesus, you know, they're not used to seeing me like that. And then I get into this zone. I'm like, okay, we got to get this done, and that's two. Last thing, schedule everything you're doing. If you've got goals, schedule the date of when it's going to be completed. Christina and I don't do anything without scheduling to the day of when we moved into this house. I knew to the day of when we were going to do it. Even if we didn't have the money at the time, I knew that if we took this was our action.
Yeah.
And the same goes with books. I mean, you're a pro at that. I would love to see the notes of how you got do all the way down the line to get all these books done. You've got to be organized.
Yeah.
And I respect you a lot for that, because I know that it's not easy. It can't be.
It's especially if you have other people you're depending on or you're working with, such as an editor and a formatter and a cover designer.
Yeah.
You have to take their schedules into consideration too.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to go, okay, I have to have this done by a certain time because my editor needs it for her schedule by this time. Then it has to come back to me and we go back and forth for however long. You have to have that all laid out ahead of time.
Right. Do you feel that you should delegate a lot, or do you feel like you try to keep things, like for me, I tried for a long time to keep everything me. You know, I can draw, I can do the artwork, I can do all the marketing. Yeah. But there comes a point in time where I want to delegate, and I also want to spread the wealth. Yeah. There's a balance there too.
Yeah. I have had a personal assistant several times.
Yeah.
I have a lady that's kind of like on call.
Yeah.
I haven't always been able to like pay her every month, so we just focused on specific things. But I do try to pay her well when she is helping.
Yeah.
And it has helped tremendously because there's been times when I've been way too stressed out to try and keep up with social media.
Big time.
And, you know, and everything else. Like with editing, I mean, I can self-edit to an extent, but if I really want it done right,
you really need to outsource it. Even with Christine, I give her just enough rope to hang me, because there's some things like I have to have Chuck Pino come in and say, look, this is not right, or you know what I mean? I have to, because it's not.
You need someone objective looking at it.
Right.
Right. Matter of fact, I just got a bunch of feedback from beta readers on the new book, and it's really been helpful because I've seen some things that are like, oh, you know, I didn't think of that, which I would not have thought of until after I'd released the book. So there's some little things I'm going to change before the final product, you know, goes to market.
How's John? John, you're probably in the same boat Christine is, because it's like you know that we're talented, right? You know what I mean? You know that Amy's got it, right?
Yep.
But you're clouded with the beauty and all all that stuff, right? Right. That's the way it is in our house too.
Yeah.
Christine can't stand. I know it's like a glow on me all the time, right?
Yeah.
I think it's that laser pointer she's got pointed at me. But I think that, is it harder though for? I know the answer for Chris. Is it harder though to be direct as far as, you know, this is great, but, you know, is it hard as a spouse? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
I bounce ideas off of him a lot.
Yeah, we run through everything quite a bit, and we talk so much that I don't think anything is. I don't think it's hard. I actually don't think it's hard. I am super happy to help.
Yeah.
I and I know she's not going to take my advice anyway. So, it's just throwing it out there,
Yeah.
no,
Spitballing it. Yeah.
yeah. It's just like,
That way later you can go, I told you so.
Yeah. Right.
I appreciate the fact that she asks,
Yeah.
but no, I do. We will take a section and we'll just run through it. I mean, over and over and over with different directions and until we're actually both comfortable with it.
Yeah. And that's the way we do it. I really feel pity for a lot of people that don't have that.
Yeah.
When they don't have the spouse and I'm telling everybody here, I mean, I know it's your show, but anybody who doesn't support their spouse, as long as it's productive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not fair. It's not a fair way of relationship at all.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that Chris, I'm glad that you, John, that you're that way too, because it's really, it makes it so much easier.
I'm very lucky that way. We've actually just sat down when I finished Neurosis. I sat down, I read him like the last 3 chapters and I was like, okay, so what did you think of this part? Does it make sense? And we just went through it, like a little bit at paragraph at a time. Yeah. And if he didn't understand it, he would say, okay, hold on, what? We go back through it. Because when you're writing, things make sense in your head. Yeah. And then you get it on the page and then you realize you left something important out. Just because I knew it doesn't mean I expect him to know it without me actually putting it on the page. Right. So he's been great about let me bounce ideas off of him. And
I know with Chris, she'll tell me one thing she said to me, and once you read Grimm, you'll understand, because it's set up like a memoir about this guy seeing this woman and not understanding why he's so enthralled, because he's a being. He's not really human. Yeah. And when I wrote this one paragraph, when I read it to her, she looked back at me. You wrote that? I'm like, oh my God. So I knew I was on the right path, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I wrote that. She says, let me see. And she knew I wrote it. Yeah, right. She's like, oh my God. She said that you've never put this in like a love letter to me or anything. I'm like, well, here you go. Here's your love letter, babe.
I was thinking of you, honey, when I wrote it.
Yeah, cash the check when it sells. There you go. But yeah, it's funny that, there's little things like that. I know that she doesn't mean it in a bad way, but she's like, wow, and I know that Amy said that about you when we were talking on TED Talks. She said that I knew it was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be this good, is what you said to her. I'm paraphrasing when you wrote that.
Yeah.
So,
I have tremendous confidence in her, and I am. The waiting for that day is killing me.
Yeah.
Because I know that day is coming.
Yeah, right.
And I get to see where she belongs.
Exactly.
When I see that New York Times or that, her name in the credits as they scroll across the screen. Yep. I know that day is coming, and but the waiting is just
oh no, it is. It's painful.
It is, and I just can't.
When we got the Zoom call from LA, and I'm like, we were almost in tears afterward. I was like, oh my God, I can't. And she's like, all that work paid off. It took 3 years to get this to this point. And well, I'm just glad that you guys can enjoy it and you guys are together. And Amy, I'm your wingman. I think I just made,
thank you.
I'm helped you out. I know, big time. So you guys enjoy your evening. But yeah, that's it. You have to have partners in this,
Absolutely. It's important you got to have support. Yeah. So Carly's very good at delegating. Eric Hawkins, my wife did something like that recently. You drew that? I was like, no, I'm an artist, right?
I found it on the internet. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, goodness. Oh, that's funny.
Oh. Yeah. The initial reaction.
Yeah, right. And you don't know what they don't mean to be mean at all. They're just being, you're being your spouse, right? So
I remember writing something and sending it or giving it to her one day with some roses or some flowers, that's what she said. You wrote that, and I'm like,
I mean, it made me cry. It
Well,
was
right,
so
right.
sweet. It
Right.
was, you know,
I didn't know how to take it. I was
Right.
like,
What's-
what?
Yeah, you know.
yeah.
I
I think it was more of a did you write this or did you find it like in a book of poetry or what? You know, either way, I'm
Yeah.
happy. But you know, if you wrote it, that makes it even more special.
I think my writing is terrible because I just I don't know, chicken scratch.
Mhm.
I know what it says, but
Yeah.
so I was afraid. I was actually afraid to give her that. In that, so I typed it.
That's cool.
I think that probably didn't help any.
It was fine.
I had so much because we had to handwrite everything in architecture. So I've got really excellent penmanship. It's just the way it is. And I've thought about writing out books, and I've thought about doing because people have asked me, can you letter my comic book or whatever? And I would always write things out to Christine. So, and it got to a point where people are like, he writes like this, or he, literally, I mean, the text, it's just the way I am. Because we would have to do 330-second size lines.
Yeah.
And I wrote everything from Pink Floyd albums to biblical, scripture. I mean, everything we get our hands on in architecture school to 24-inch by 36 sheets. It was unbelievable. So,
Oh my gosh.
so when I wrote out a letter to Christine, it was, she's like, yeah, it's no big deal now. It's like, whatever. All the rest of the guys like it's, and I'm sure you don't write like with a crayon like this, but there's some of my friends are just like, were you holding on to a banana when you're writing that? What was going on with that? Were you swinging from a tree? And they're like, can you write this out? I'm like, no, this isn't Cyrano de Bergerac. You write it out, type it. That's what I said, type it, John, but anyway.
Every other letter, upper, lowercase.
Yeah, mine looks like an architectural print. Every time she opens up a birthday card, okay, what are we designing today? What are we drawing a foundation? What is this? So but yeah. Anyway, we all have our crosses. Yeah, right. Exactly, Eric. CAD, computer aided design, really wrecked it because a lot of the kids they know how to design on a computer. They don't know how to draw. And it's great. It's just a different tool, but yeah. Interesting stuff.
To be said for doing it by hand.
Yeah.
I really believe. Yeah.
Yep.
And you guys, Ted's, as you saw his covers there, Ted is great.
Thank you.
He actually drew the pictures for my story for Pulp Reality too.
Yeah. That one I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
I'm looking forward to seeing that all put together. It's going to be great.
It's going to be really good.
Let's see. We're building a foundation of our relationship, dear.
That's right, Carl.
We're in the middle of a weird combo between Carl and Glenn.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we should, we'll open up a therapy session. Ted and Amy's therapy show. That's great. We'll bring in our spouses. We'll have this. Be great.
Yeah.
Do some couples therapy.
That's good. Yeah.
A bunch of lounge type.
Got it.
My penmanship would be crap if it wasn't for drafting.
No doubt.
Carly, let's look at Carl.
I can just see her. I can just see her looking at him. Yeah. Staring him down.
I can envision that in my head. The look she's giving him right now.
That's great.
Oh goodness. Well, we have been going for.
No, I can't. I'm sorry it took up so much of your time. Yeah, I'm sorry it took so much of your time.
When you're having fun.
It does. Yeah. It does. Absolutely. Let's see. That was what Ted should have said to Chris.
That's right. That's right. Well, I said something right. She stayed with me. So
there you go.
There you go. There you go.
I told her, some murderers don't get 20. So it's
that's right.
Right?
Yeah. So. Yeah. And June we'll be celebrating our 30th.
Oh, that's very good. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's put up with me for 30 years.
Great. John, you're a June bride, huh? That's great, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually, same as Brian.
Yeah, we
really
were married on the exact same day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember the story now.
Yeah.
I remember that whole when you met all that. That's
Yeah, we're talking and just like, wait a minute, same day?
That's great.
Almost the same time, even just different time zones because of
we were married on Friday the 13th, but at the time it was Good Friday, so we figured it evened out. So we did it anyway.
Yeah.
And it worked out great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight,
My
Ted.
pleasure. My pleasure, guys.
So
Thank
much
you.
fun.
Yep.
Definitely have to do this again.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah. And whenever you're ready to launch your book and everything, just, we'll schedule it. You got it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And same with your Kickstarter. We
Thank
definitely
you.
want to get that in front of people.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Well, we're going to shut things down here, guys. Ted, if you'll hang around afterwards.
Sure.
We'll chat a bit. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me, I'll see real quick here, Ted, give everybody a real quick, can I do this? Surely I can. I don't know.
What's that?
Right here. There we go.
There you go.
Okay. Let everybody know where to find you again.
So everywhere Ted Davies Artistry is. So Ted Davies Artistry.com. And then you can go to Ted Davies Artistry Facebook, Ted Davies Artistry Instagram. I'm not really using Twitter anymore. It's more so just there. So I'm not really on there, but check out Instagram and Facebook. And of course, you can find all my work at teddaviesartistry.com, and you can purchase anything on there. So thanks so much, guys. I appreciate your time.
Same.
Thank you so much. We'll catch up with you in just a minute.
No problem. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Thanks. You too. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
All the comments.
Carl says, great show. Thank you. Carlene says, great show, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here and for visiting with us and adding to the conversation and making it so much more fun. Yep. Without you, we would just, not that we don't mind just talking to each other, but it's more fun when we've got people joining in on the conversation. So we appreciate you being here with us. Join us next week, and that is the 15th. Yes. Next week is very special for us. Next week, we will have Pot and Kettle with us. And if you don't know who Pot and Kettle is, it is a musician who is immensely talented. Mm-hmm. And she has written a song for one of my books. Mm-hmm. So we're going to try to premiere that song that night, and it will be available for sale on iTunes. And I'll also have CDs at my signings. So I cannot wait for you guys to meet her, hear her music. She's just incredible. Really excited about that. So please join us next week on YouTube and on Facebook at the same time, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And until then, I guess we will see you guys next week. All right.
Bye-bye.
So you guys have a great night.
Be strong.